Happy Canada Day to our Canadian listeners, and happy 4th of July to our American listeners. I live in a mixed nationality household, so this is a real special week for me and my family. We hope you enjoy your holiday and enjoy the summer. Feel free to join our conversation on Discord, our fan group on Facebook, or write to us at toughcallmediation@gmail.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy the show!
Tough Call Mediation is brought to you by Herb Legal LLP, serving your mediation and freelance paralegal needs in Ontario, New York, Quebec, and throughout North America. Connect to their website today at www.herblawservices.com.
Hello, and welcome to Tough Call, a mediation podcast. My name is C.T. Ayler, and I am with my lovely co-host, Dale Sheldon.
Hello.
Hi.
Good morning.
I wanted to get right into another installment of Am I the Asshole? Because we have a juicy one that was sent to us.
Oh, okay.
And then a Reddit one, which I thought was kind of fun. So which one do you want to go with? Reddit or one that was
juicy.
Sent to us? Okay. Because they're both interesting.
Okay.
Let's go with the one. Let's go to the one that was sent to us, because thank you, listeners and prospective listeners who we've said, like, send us to, and please, if you have an Am I the Asshole and you want a mediation perspective or an insightful, wise perspective from Mr. Dale Sheldon. Okay, so this one. I opened my business right before the pandemic. We barely survived doing takeout and having some patio space. Last summer was the first time my restaurant profited. Now I have issues with staffing. I have another job and my family helps out more than they should, so any full-time kitchen staff or wait staff is welcomed. At the end of summer, one staff and my father started arguing. It wasn't a good look for the restaurant when they argued. It got worse to the point where I had complaints from the other staff. I ended up firing the staff member and cut my dad out of the restaurant. My sisters say I was unfair to our dad, and my spouse is furious with me for firing a good full-time staff member. Life has got more demanding with fewer hands, but I still see our restaurant doing well. Am I the asshole?
Oof. I feel like I don't have enough information, to be honest. I kind of want to know what the argument was about. Like, did customers hear it as well? Or was it only,
just staff.
From staff, yeah.
Just staff.
Not that that's much better. You know what I mean? I mean, you don't want a hostile work environment either.
No.
Customers are seeing that. That's really detrimental to the business. That hurts everyone.
Okay.
And he was a good employee otherwise. I feel like I would need to know what the argument and the context of the argument. Like, did the father start? I mean, clearly it can't continue. Had there been discussions with both of them first? Like, sit them both down?
So here's one of the things I wanted to bring up. As someone who is a massive Gordon Ramsay fan.
Yeah.
Hotel hell, kitchen nightmares.
Is that the makeover one that he makes over restaurants?
Makes over restaurants, makes over hotels.
Yeah.
Goes in
They're very
directly
good,
and helps them. And they're never grateful. They're never happy to hear his point of view. But especially owners with their heads in the clouds, definitely one of the biggest issues are owners who will not make the kind of decisions of letting go staff or even family members. So that's why I thought this was juicy. I couldn't wait to talk to you about this because I was just like, no, not the asshole after watching her.
I mean, I don't think I don't get the impression that she is one of those ones that have her head in the clouds.
Exactly.
I don't get that.
She obviously made a decision.
Yeah.
It's like, look, my restaurant is very important. And I think so many restaurants especially suffered during the pandemic. Everything was so tight. And last summer of 2023 being the first time they're making profits, like that's a big thing. And I have a feeling that like it's make or break time. Knowing a few restaurant owners who are still struggling, my perspective of the owner is I am making things that will directly impact the longevity of this business, right? Probably a good idea that dad is out of there, even though her sisters are upset. Why she let go of that staff member at the same time? My initial, when I read it, I thought she's just cutting out the problem completely and trying to make it that's my concern. And even playing field. It's like both of you were not in the right, so both of you need to leave. And maybe her spouse is making a good point because it looks like the sisters are more upset about the father, the family connection, but the spouse is more concerned about the staff member being let go. Yeah. And yet she says the restaurant, even though there's more work, it's still doing okay. So you're right. We don't have enough information, but just a cursory initial takeaway from it is not the asshole, because you sometimes have to make really hard decisions in business, especially like restaurants are so, everyone thinks you make money in it. You don't.
No. They're extremely difficult to keep going. Yeah. And they're the highest failing type of business, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah, very difficult.
Exactly. And
especially the first year.
I guess you bringing up the whole issue of we need more information about the argument. I don't know. I think it's serious enough that she felt if staff are complaining, it's bringing down the energy. It's bringing down the cooperation in the workplace, the ability to come to work and do your job. That's a huge problem.
No, that is a huge problem. But I feel like I see this more with restaurants than almost any other type of thing.
True.
Where the owner is also the manager. They're a cook. Their background is in cooking. They want to cook.
Right.
Their background is not in management, especially employee management and employee relations. And
I don't know her background.
Yeah. And maybe she has that, or maybe but I get the impression she doesn't, because the problem that I see is people that don't have that background are going to be too quick to make too big of a judgment, too much, too quick, and completely wiping out both of those people. They may have both had something that they were adding to the success of that business. And she cut that out as well, instead of, because they don't say anything about her ever sitting them down and saying, let's have, and it's perfect for mediation. Why are we not even having the conversation? Why are you having this argument? This cannot continue. Warn them. This cannot continue. You're creating a hostile work environment. Everyone else is not liking this. There is a certain level it's almost expected in restaurants, but it doesn't have to be.
Well, you approached it almost as an arbiter, and therein lies the difference between an arbiter and a mediator. An arbiter is there to pass a certain amount of judgment. If you're in a deadlock, they're going to say, okay, then this outcome needs to happen in order for you to. So they're a little bit more invested in the solution, and whereas a mediator is really creating a space to come. And you're right, the mediator approach would be very good for this restaurant owner, because she has another job, so she's probably not always there and not always seeing the interaction. So she gets complaints from other staff, more than one, I'm assuming. So she's going, this is a big problem. Maybe she knows her dad. Maybe her dad might be very helpful, but not be the most helpful in a restaurant setting. We don't know his background.
We don't know. I mean, he clearly wasn't an owner if she could just cut him out. So he was something extra. He was superfluous in some way.
Well, I definitely get from the tone and the context of the way it was written to us, it was an all hands on deck from anyone she could get because of COVID. And that makes total sense. Like anyone who can show up to pitch in,
which you take all the more reason to not cut out two people.
Fair. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're right. I definitely come at this from the perspective of the manager itself. Like before we even get to mediation, it's like, just sit down and talk about it. Mm-hmm. It's like, if you have a problem, don't hash it out between each other. Come to me first. Mm-hmm. Like in my company that I never say who I work for, but we have instances where one person has a problem with another person mm-hmm. and they will go to them directly. And I every time, do not go to them directly. They're also on different teams, different supervisors and everything. Please just bring it to me or bring it to your supervisor and let us handle it. If you try to handle it between each other, it's just going to cause more animosity. It's not going to resolve.
No, that's interesting.
There can be instances where it can resolve itself, but I swear most of the time it doesn't.
Well, and this is directly conflicting with my opinion of how things need to be done. And that's coming from a teaching background with kids where they learn to tattle, especially where I was teaching in private school in Taiwan for a long time. With the Kuomintang, there was this belief of telling authority figures, like tell the teacher, tell your parents, tattle on your neighbors. And it really solidified, you have an issue, go directly to the source first. Be brave, confront them. Mm-hmm. But you're right. If that does not work, do not continue trying to solve it yourself. That's when you escalate it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it depends on what we're talking about. Like if we're talking about like a sexual harassment issue type of thing, you need to tell that person first, this is not appropriate. Please do not do this before going to like an HR thing. But if we're talking about two employees who have a disagreement about a policy or how something is being done.
What's a good example then? Because I still think disagree openly, be brave about it, because there are too many instances where they will pit management against each other.
Well, and that's the next part I was going to go to.
Right.
This only works if you've created if the management has created a proper work environment where everyone understands coming to a supervisor, to me, does not mean getting that other person in trouble.
But it happens so often. It's such a typical human psychology.
I know, but
especially the Machiavellian types. I've seen it too often where all of my bad job situations, I'm too trusting. I always see it way too late when people have cranked about me behind my back and maybe gone to the supervisor a few times and have created this negative perception of me. So when I go and start, then I do look like the complaining person. I do look like...
I hear what you're saying.
I'm
the problem
a very
is,
direct person.
And I hear what you're saying. And from an employee's perspective, depending on the work environment and the company, and probably in the vast majority of companies, that's true. But I'm saying from a management perspective, if you're really good at setting up a proper management, none of that needs to exist.
True. But that's also very difficult. Like clearly you're a very good manager.
It's lazy. I mean, it's being lazy otherwise to me.
Yes.
Because I have a staff, right? I have a team. I meet with every single one of them a minimum of once a week and have a coaching thing. Even if that coaching is just, do you have any questions about it? Me asking them, do you have any questions about anything? Just checking in with them.
Oh my gosh. How about you write a book? How to be a good man. I wish more managers do that. They don't. Especially the manager style where they rule through fear, or they just sit back and try to be everybody's friend. It doesn't work. Yeah. And they don't want to actually, there's either they love micromanaging to the point where every little teeny tiny problem is constantly, they enjoy the discord, right? Because then they feel they're doing a good job.
They can feel like they're doing something. Yeah. When the opposite is true, when everything's working well, that's when you're doing a good job.
Yes.
Not when there's a bunch of problems every week.
Yes. And they're complaining about their stuff all the time. And they're, woe is me, kind of a martyr. Like, oh, if only, I had really good staff, my life would be so much better. Those types of people. And then you have the other ones who tend to hide in their office. They just never check in until something's gone nuclear and people are stabbing each other as eyes out with pencils, you know?
So part of creating that proper, free, non-hostile work environment is knowing that if one of my staff brings me an issue, it's not a complaint, it's not calling someone out, it's not tattling. It's just saying, look, this person really has a coaching opportunity. They're not aware of this thing or whatever it is. Or maybe I'm wrong. Can you talk to me about it? It's impossible for everyone to know everything. People make mistakes. We're all human. It happens. So there's no reason to think someone's going to get in trouble, especially to the point where they're going to get let go. The only time someone's going to get let go for something is if we have to have the same conversation about the same mistake over and over and over again. If I have to coach someone on the same thing, and it's something like egregious too, not a little mistake, that's fine. But something that's really big, that's costing the company money or something like that. And I've had to have the same conversation like 3 times. Then we're going to have like a more serious conversation about like, this really can't happen again.
And if it does, here are the consequences.
Yeah. And then if it does happen again, then it's a verbal, and that's not even a verbal yet. That's just, we're having a very serious conversation. We've talked about this multiple times. It can't happen again. Next time, then it's like a verbal warning. It's like actually in their record, then a final written warning, and then termination.
So
where was all of that with these 2 people?
I don't know. Well, I think in restaurants, they have a tendency to cycle through staff more than the average industry too, right? Some people just leave.
But it's not a good...
Or their summer, you get a lot of students in the summer too. So to have dedicated full-time, long-term staff who are older, I think is gold. And let's assume that that's the case with this staff member, hence why the spouse is losing it, is like, why would you get rid of someone who isn't quitting by the end of the summer to go off to uni or something?
That could be it. But I also got the impression maybe it's, why are you getting rid of someone who is looking at this as more of a long-term career that could be with the restaurant for years?
And they're arguing for the benefit and betterment of the restaurant. Yeah. I mean, there are high conflict personalities and there are people who thrive on discord and drama. And maybe this person had an inkling of it. Maybe we don't know the nature of the complaints from the other staff, though. That could be an issue. Because what if this staff member has a very domineering type, controlling type of, and you can see that it's just having a really negative impact on everybody. So it's sort of the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. And that's possible. Like, I think that's why she made that decision. Just even the playing field, you're both out of this. No, bye.
Even then, I mean, I just know I've had so many employees over the years that had personalities like that or had other issues like extreme apathy or whatever, that after sitting them down, sometimes it does take that final serious discussion or even a final written warning before it finally clicks. And they're like, oh, wait, if I actually try to enjoy this job, I might actually like it.
Right. And I've seen so many instances where I so love that you brought this up, because a mediation can be as simple as not necessarily bringing in a private mediator, however, a neutral party to just sit and observe, to bring down the heat of the issue. So somebody who's outside of the situation can be such a benefit to providing, okay, so what do you want out of this? What do you want to be doing? And then really hear, is there some fear? Is there some upset? Is there some genuine, like you were bringing up, a genuine misunderstanding of the policies? Could it be that the owner doesn't have constructed written policies? I don't think there's single
probably not, to be honest.
I don't know of a single non-corporate restaurant that has appropriate policies. Now, watch, we have hundreds
even
of letters
appropriate
coming
organization
going, what are you talking about? Yeah.
Of who is supposed to be at what position doing exactly what at what time.
Yeah. And alternate things, and so many opportunities in businesses for the owners if they are not the manager, or if they are not directly involved in the business. If they're not in the business 24/7, and if they're not the manager, then in some ways they are the neutral party to be able to come in and see what's happening. I mean, they have the most skin in the game, but at the same time, they're the ones that are making those decisions. They're the director, and they can say, oh, this is what's happening. But then you have, people who don't think to actually say, listen, we need to schedule a meeting. Like, your check-ins, that's brilliant. I don't know of many people who actually take the time to have check-ins with their employees. That check-in is so critical, and it's not done enough. It really isn't. It is. I can't tell you how rare it is to know. And even those coaching calls that I know of, some people who have those, they're not always doing coaching calls.
Yeah. They're
talking about their day. We have to meet, so we want to talk about. Did you see that thing on TikTok?
And to be fair,
that can be team building to a certain extent.
Exactly. There's a rapport building, getting to know your staff, and but it should be balanced.
Yes.
Not every time.
So I thought I'm so glad we had this conversation. Huge opportunity to have mediation. That's why I wanted to bring it up. Yeah. And for me to talk about Gordon Ramsay. So are we ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So here we are. Am I the asshole for kicking my 72-year-old mother-in-law out of the house at night because she threw away my things? And before we get into,
so much.
I know, just the title alone.
I know,
It's at night. Yeah, you're the asshole. Like, that's what I'm thinking, right? Before I read the rest of it, it's
one of those titles that you can't help it. Whoever reads it is immediately going to interject their personal experiences to various mother-in-laws, or
the trope of mother-in-law, I think, is getting quite tiresome. I mean, I understand that there's a lot of issues that can happen, but as now the mother of a child who, I mean, he was not even a week old, and I'm rocking with him, and I looked down at him, and I just had this thought of, no one is ever going to be good enough for you. I just caught myself like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be a terrible mother-in-law.
No, it is played out, but I kind of get it too, only because the mother-in-law dynamic, it's like, it's someone you didn't choose. It's like you chose this person.
Yes.
You didn't choose their mother. And yet, of all the people in that person's circle in life, the mother is probably one of the most, not only important potentially, but, what's a nice way to put this? Interjective.
True. But now that I could, 15 years time, potentially become a mother-in-law, I'm feeling very protective of all the mother-in-laws out there. And I think how much I could become this overbearing mother-in-law. If my son is my world, and if I 100% made him my world, that poor kid. So I'm acutely aware. I am acutely aware that I need to do. That's another reason why I want to do this podcast. Like, I need to do other things.
Something else.
All right. So let's, I, 36 female, live with my husband, 41 male. I have a decent relationship with my mother-in-law. Oh,
Okay.
good.
Good start.
Compared to a lot of the horror stories I hear from friends, she's quite sweet and warm. Okay.
Okay. Knowing that, I'm already thinking she's the asshole now. I was not there at all before, but if she's sweet and warm and they get along, then the title makes zero sense. Sorry, keep going. I don't get it now. Okay, go ahead.
She is, however, a little over-controlling, overprotective. I'm not sure of the exact word, but she has very strong ideas about things and no sense of boundaries. For example, when she stays at our house, she takes over the kitchen completely and insists on cooking all of our meals. Hello?
Where's the problem there? Yeah.
Right? Thank you.
I mean, unless she's terrible.
I have to do?
Unless the meatloaf is a hockey puck every time.
I don't know.
But it seems unlikely if she does it regularly.
Oh, look at this.
Oh.
She cooks wonderfully, but she won't let me help her at all. Great. And puts everything away in the wrong places. Ooh. Oh.
I mean,
as a domestic kitchen goddess myself, it irritates the crap out of me when things are not put in the place that they should. And you've seen my kitchen. I am not the cleanest, neatest person, but things need to go in a certain spot. That is why they are there.
But does it matter as long as you know where it is?
Well, that's
can you just change
No, but that's
your
the point.
spot to wherever her spot is?
But if it's totally mixed around and then you go into your kitchen again and everything's been moved and you don't know where, it's a source of stress, especially like, let's say you're running in, you got to make something, let's not even say just regular dinner night. You're going to prepare like a charcuterie board for a party. If you can't find that slicer or the measuring cups or where the oil is being kept because it's been moved to somewhere
unfamiliar. Yeah.
Okay.
And this only happens when she's staying over at their house.
Yes.
So it's not like it's
full time.
Yeah. She doesn't live with them full time. So okay. I'm with you.
Okay. All right. So puts everything away in the wrong places and then insists that her way is more logical. Well, for her, it's logical for her. It's not logical for you. And it's your kitchen and a story. Okay. So, point.
I don't know if that warrants kicking someone out in the middle of the night, but okay.
Next. She only really comes for holidays, though. And I do like her a lot. Okay.
Oh, not even regularly. It's just holidays.
Right. So I don't mind putting up with these mild annoyances. I'm currently pregnant with our little girl who will be born in a few months. This is a miracle. I really didn't think it would happen, especially so late, but we got lucky. When my mother-in-law heard, she was super excited and said she would come over to help us get ready for the baby. Oh, awesome. Can she be my mother-in-law? Like, come on, hold on. She offered to stay for the next 6 months or so to help out. Ooh. Okay. Because my husband and I both work long hours and it will be hard to handle the baby on top of this. Thank you.
So free childcare?
Yes, please.
Which is like insanely expensive. Yeah.
Okay. She is also pretty emotionally invested in this. Yeah, because it's her grandbaby. Of course she's emotionally invested in this. I would be concerned if she wasn't. I know so many people who have checked out and uninvolved grandparents. It's so sad. It's so sad. And, there are grandparents who just live far away, so they can't be as close. But there are ones who live like right down the road and don't lift a finger.
Yeah.
Okay, she had one point about her kitchen, but
it wasn't
very
strong, to be honest.
No, it was strong. It was strong.
Okay, well.
It's strong. It's strong. But
I apparently don't have strong feelings about my kitchen. I really don't give a shit. If you want to move something, move it. I don't really care. It's like, I don't know where the toaster is. I'll find it eventually. There's only so many cabinets.
All right.
Sorry, go ahead.
We're in total disagreement on this. Okay. She is also pretty emotionally invested in this because she truly sees herself as part of our family. Because she is?
Yeah.
Sorry, how is she not a part of your family? She's your mother-in-law.
I mean, I think she means like, yeah.
She's your mother-in-law. She is your family. You married into her family.
But you don't expect your mother-in-law to be, you don't envision your mother-in-law being part of your immediate daily household.
Sorry, this is a white girl. This is a white girl problem.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. No, you're 100%. If she was Latina, it would be, exactly. Of course, your parents live with you.
Asian parents.
Yeah, Asian.
Black parents. Like,
yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. She's clearly a white girl. Yeah.
Speaking as a mixed white person, I zero sympathy for her. So, like, just nope. Okay. So also, she truly sees herself as part of family. Of course, because she is. The end. Okay. She arrived a few days ago and set herself up. Then she started with the cleaning. Aw.
Woe is me.
Your mother-in-law came in and cleaned your house? Poor baby.
Cooks for you. Cleans for you.
What is her problem? Okay.
We'll take care of the new baby for months.
Zero sympathy.
You can actually sleep at night because maybe she'll get up and feed the bottle.
Right. There are 3 babies, newborn babies, in my life right now. My business partner, like close family friends of ours, and my godmothers to my son. They've just welcomed in a baby all in the same time. So they're all like 3-4 months old. And I know all of them would love to have a free cooker, cleaner person in their life doing stuff for them. What is her problem?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
This is a privilege to have someone in your family, by the way.
Right?
Like, so many people don't have family at all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
Let's get through this. Okay. I like collecting things from garage sales and such. Cool. Things like sculptures and books and baskets. Stuff a lot of people would consider utter junk. Okay, so she's a hoarder. Got it. Our house is definitely overstuffed. Okay, so she agrees that it's overstuffed. She agrees she's a hoarder. Got it. But it's reasonably tidy. Cool. And doesn't seem like a hoarder's house or anything. Well, to her.
You know, hoarder never thinks that it's a hoarder's house. I mean, I'm sure she doesn't have like stacks of newspapers or...
that we know of.
Dead cats in the corner or something like that.
Well, maybe she went and got a dead cat that's been stuffed by those, whatchamacallit? Taxidermists at a garage sale. So she's got a creepy cat sitting up on her mantle. We don't know.
I mean, that's a bizarre supposition, but yeah, man, who knows?
Well, she said that.
Well, she does collect random stuff.
Consider utter junk.
Yeah.
So she's acknowledging this about herself. My mother-in-law, on the other hand, likes everything surgically clean. Ooh, that's a problem.
That's a big personality difference.
Yes. Yesterday, I came home from work to find the house like a war zone. Ooh.
Surgically clean is good for a baby.
Absolutely. But, well, okay. We'll get to that. Okay.
Yeah.
Work to find the house like a war zone. She went through my cabinets, cleared out everything she considered junk, and had apparently made several trips to Goodwill before I got home. Oh.
I mean, yeah, that is a problem. You don't get rid of something without someone's permission.
Or at least having a conversation.
At least, yeah, something.
Okay. I was really angry and I asked her why she would ever do this. She said the house has to be tidy for the baby. True. And that it would be dangerous. Oh, and she puts that in quotation marks, for the baby to be in my cluttered house. Well, it's possible.
Well, I'm sorry. The baby's not going to be, it's a infant. It's not going to be crawling around for a while.
Walks out of the womb and immediately impales himself on something.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Okay.
And the baby's not even born yet. It's like a few months away, right? Yeah. Before the baby's even born, and she's already doing it?
Ooh, okay. So this is evening the playing field a little bit, because we were totally against this.
I mean, I'm still not on board with kicking out over in the middle of the night.
Right,
but yeah.
Then she took the next huge bag of stuff and tried to walk out the door. I kind of lost it and told her she could get out right now. She was shocked that I was serious and said she doesn't have anywhere to go and it's so late. It was about 9:30 at night. Oh, I booked her a hotel room and called a taxi. Oh, a hotel room. Oh, come on. Okay.
She didn't just kick her out.
Yeah. Okay. My husband came home an hour later. When I told him what happened, he was furious with me. He says I disrespected his mom and was ungrateful for everything she's trying to do for us. Am I the asshole? Yes.
Yeah, ultimately, yeah. I mean, it's nice that they're both assholes.
Of course they're both assholes. Yeah. But if she asked me, am I the asshole? The answer, yeah, you are. But is your mother-in-law
that could have been handled
asshole?
A lot better.
Yeah, she is. You could argue that it was also like theft of property.
Oh, 100%? Yeah, of course it is. That's
lucky.
Not even arguable.
Her mother-in-law is lucky that she isn't charged. Because she could. Not that a lot of people do that to their family. Oh, but she doesn't consider her family. So, yeah, she's started this whole situation off. This is
a kicking her out over
problem.
Honestly, I think it goes back to that sounds like hoarder behavior. Being that upset. I mean, it's a big crossing of the line. Getting rid of stuff without your permission. But it seems like an overreaction at the same time. Especially if it really was just stuff that she wasn't doing anything with. Sounded like it was stuff that was in the back of cabinets and wasn't contributing to anything. Not that makes it okay that she did it.
No.
But at the same time, it's like...
It's still your stuff. It's still your stuff.
Yeah.
Like, probably the better thing to have done is put things, maybe not in trash bags, but take a bunch of stuff, put them in boxes, get them curated. It sounds like they're in a house, so put them in the basement or in a particular room and say, this stuff needs to be put away. Is it overstepping? Yes. Maybe even before that. Well, I would have recommended this as a mediator, going into the pre-mediation, because having a pre-mediation is important, right? So I'm listening, and if I was talking with the mother-in-law, I said, I would have asked a question. Asking questions in pre-mediation is important. I would have said to her, did you notify her that you're going to go through their things? Did you tell her that some of these things were... because the way she's framed it, it sounds like she did not give her mother-in-law permission. But sometimes, as we're bringing up potential hoarders or people who, like, this is my things, my territory, mine, it's my stuff.
Yeah.
You can talk to them until you're blue in the face and they'll ignore you. So sometimes you have to kind of,
that could be too. And
ask
also
for
hoarders will
instead of permission
latch on to things that are bizarre. Like to an average person would not make sense. And she does admits to that to a certain degree. Yeah. So maybe this was stuff that truly was like trash. Things that were broken.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
We don't know.
This shard of glass came from an Elvis crystal collection that did break, but it's a shard of glass that I love to keep. No,
I do have a rock that I picked up off the beach in Plymouth, England. And I only know that it came from that thing. If someone else came to my house and they're like because it's in the bathroom on the windowsill. I don't know why it's there. That's just where I have it.
I have stones.
And we'll look at that and be like, why the hell is this rock here?
No. I love it. This is why I know that we're soul besties, because I am a rock collector too. I have stones that I got from the River Ganga when I was up in Rishikesh, India, and it was very important to me. It had very spiritual grounding significance because I love collecting rocks, and it just...
That's why it was important to me, because it's where my family left from England. So when I went back there to that spot where they left from,
it was your Mecca.
It was kind of cool for me.
Yeah. So she could have maybe unhealthy attachments, yes, but maybe there are some healthy attachments to some real reasons why she has certain things. And if she's a collector, sometimes people don't understand collectors. They don't understand why they collect certain things. And obviously, someone who's surgical, this woman might come from a perspective of everything must be, magazine cover household where you don't see a single thing and everything is maybe she's but
it doesn't sound like she's
person, the mother-in-law, does this spark joy? Okay, get rid of it. But it's not joy for her, but it might be joy for her daughter-in-law.
But there's a difference between collecting as a hobby, even if there's multiple things that you collect, like stamps or
doilies,
Fiestaware or whatever it is. You're collecting a particular thing, right? She references things generically, like baskets, and like that isn't a thing that
it could be a color thing. Like I had a friend who, I don't know if she's still
But she didn't even say that though.
This, but you could always get something orange for my friend. She loved orange.
Just anything orange, yeah. Yeah, there's people that are like, I have a friend who's red. People call her red. She loves red. Abby loves red. And so that's what we call her, red. But anyway, sorry.
No, but that could be
Can we go back to the part where she talks about what her collecting is? Because it doesn't sound like a normal, person who collects things.
Books and baskets.
Okay, maybe sculptures and books and things. The baskets is throwing me off. I don't know. I've never heard of anyone who tins. I've heard of people collecting.
Oh, some people can get into certain types of wicker basket or crocheted baskets. They're into a certain type of
I'm getting vibes of 1980s mom with really bad taste, but this is a 30-year-old girl in 2024. Shabby chic with these huge bows.
She could be super into retro, really liking 50s type things. And so certain baskets that look from a particular era, she could be really into a particular type of design.
Yeah, that could be.
I don't want to defend
I don't know why baskets is giving me a red flag.
I know. I don't want to defend her taste. People like what they like.
And she does say that a lot of people would consider utter junk. I think that's...
Well, but people who are avid garage sale, that's a mark of pride. So we're reading it initially negatively. But I realized, thinking about it, because I've known some people who were avid, it's a bragging point. Oh, other people consider this junk, but this has a value. Like Antiques Roadshow.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm picturing, and maybe it's not fair.
You're so colored by this now.
I'm picturing the sculptures. I'm picturing the 1980s, 1990s kitsch. Little kitsch. The ones that were like this, they're not porcelain, but they were almost
the
scratchy.
The snow babies. Do you remember that?
Yeah, like the snow. Oh, and they had this texture to them that just felt like nails on a chalkboard. That I can't stand. And then the books, I'm picturing stacks of Harlequin romance novels that are all some of them had sat out in the rain. You know what I mean?
You can find this.
And all broken, and
I know, but they're
worth 2 pennies each.
But here's the thing. You can find this now on YouTube if you look up Baroness Fun Sketch Show, and I love it. It's a mother and a daughter having a conversation, and their lawyers are in attendance, and they set up an agreement about how the conversation is going to go. And so they begin the conversation after the lawyers have finally said, okay, so we're not going to bring up this, and this, right? It's like, So, hi, how are you? And they handle it so, fine. How are you? Oh, did you hear what your sister is doing right now? Oh, my lawyer. Just, and I think it's great to bring in lawyers into family disputes sometimes, or really good thing would be to have a family therapist session too.
Yeah.
Especially bringing in a baby into what is now becoming a very high conflict situation.
Yeah.
Right? It is a problem. These boundaries need to be respected. I think she would learn very fast once the baby comes into the world that maybe certain things in her house needed to be put away or stored for later. So I think that that's a reasonable thing that her mother-in-law needed to address with her in a much better way than just going and
just doing it. She should have addressed it, but not the way she did. And the mother-in-law needs to realize too that the daughter-in-law is going through a pregnancy.
Yes.
She is the one who is most likely or potentially nesting.
Yes.
This isn't your nest.
Yes.
This is her nest.
Yes.
Let her decide.
I've just messed with it.
Yeah.
And we learned because of our friend who's raising pigs, she just learned the hard way that you can't move a pregnant mother into a different area of the pen because she might have nested in a particular area.
Yeah.
Right? And if she's moved, she feels unsafe, so she's more than likely to think
not to associate you with pigs, but
no,
it's
natural.
It's a natural thing.
For the mothers to get very, very stressed and then to get very destructive. I mean, pigs will kill their young. That's what we discovered. Now, she probably will not kill her baby when it's born.
Most likely.
I mean, that would be we'd be having a very different.
That's more of my podcast. And I do have some of those stories that we could talk about sometime.
But I think what's important as well is realizing, taking a step back and allowing the daughter-in-law to mark her space, mark her territory, set things up, and being, she was searching for a word up there, overbearing, over-controlling, overprotective. Yeah, she's right
sounds
there.
Like it. Yeah.
Your mother-in-law is doing this. There was a situation that came up with people that I knew who they went away right after their firstborn was born to because the wife's family lived out of province, so they were traveling to have her parents meet the grandbaby for a few weeks. While they were gone, his parents broke into their house and redecorated and revamped the whole baby room nursery. So when they came back...
As a surprise.
And she was furious. And she said, you can't come into our house. We don't want to have anything to do with you for at least a while. I know they've since resolved it. But when I ended up telling some people I know who were older, and I didn't use names or anything like I'm doing here, the reaction of grandparents was, oh, no, but that was such a nice thing to do. No, it wasn't. It was an invasion of privacy. And when I said, no, they broke into their house. They did not tell them, yeah, but that's what surprises are for. No. They read all to a taste that they were not consulted. It's a violation of their boundaries. And that's ultimately what's happening here. Like, there is, not to put it quite so, coldly, but there is elements of a crime here.
Yeah.
So
100%.
I think that's what the mother-in-law needs to understand. So yes, the mother-in-law is the asshole, but so are you. And this needs to be handled a completely different way. I mean, was it nice that she booked her into a hotel? Yes. I mean, I think in some ways she was so angry, so distraught. In that moment, she definitely needed to
space.
Say, get out of my house right now. I can't. There's hormones coursing through your body. There's rage. There's stress. She probably did something actually very smart in that moment of, you need to be removed from this situation because I'm not going to trust myself if I'm around you for 5 more seconds, you know? And I think booking her into a hotel is a reasonable thing until you can sit down and talk about it, until you can work this out.
Yeah. If she's that upset by it, yeah, I agree with you. And she probably was. But then I think she also needs to self-reflect and ask herself why she is that upset about things that the average person would consider junk. But it's...
Well, but which parts was the junk and which parts? I mean, what if the mother-in-law got rid of something that might even have had very personal sentimental value that's mixed in with some of the things that she just happens to like? And one thing that she could be doing is going to those local Goodwills and saying, listen, this was donated against my wishes. I need this stuff back. Mm-hmm. So she has the opportunity to regain her property. So
that's true too. Yeah. Because it just happened.
Yeah. She has the opportunity to regain her property. So that's salvageable to a certain extent, unless things are broken, because she's talking about figurines and stuff. So if she's just thrown them into trash bags. Yeah. It all depends on what's salvageable and what isn't.
I mean, it's true. You make a good point. Some of those figurines might be things that had come from her parents or her grandparents. Mm-hmm. I have this it's a little boxing guy figurine that the base of it is half broken off. It's porcelain. From the 1994 Northridge earthquake. It fell and the bottom of it broke off and it was not possible to fix it. But I still keep the figurine because it was my grandfather's when he was a little boy.
Exactly. And you and I have an appreciation for old houses. I think the photographs and things that you keep are amazing. But I've known people who are like, why do you live in an old house? Ooh, why do you keep photographs around of like dead people? Mm-hmm. Da, 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 da. And imagine
people who throw away old family photos are evil. I hate them. So I hate you.
Imagine you get married to somebody and your mother-in-law comes in and goes, ooh, what are all these photographs doing around? And then pitches them.
Yeah, I mean, 100%, but photographs are not the same as baskets. They're just not the same.
To you.
I think
just remember
the vast majority of people.
No, but just remember, people do strange things all the time, right? And someone who's overstepping their boundaries and not asking permission.
Yeah. No. I know. I'm with you 100% on that. Yeah. Not asking permission is a huge, huge problem.
I do feel for both of them. I feel for the mother-in-law. I feel for her, the poster. It's not a nice thing, but this is why private mediation can be important after you've done the work of maybe having a family therapist, after maybe you have decided whether or not you're pressing criminal charges or not.
I mean, yeah, I would hope that wouldn't happen. Not in this case. I mean, she has to also remember that she said it herself. Her mother-in-law is sweet. Clearly, everything that she's doing, as inappropriate as it may be, is actually coming from a truly good
a
genuinely good place. And there are so many adults, parents, in-laws, whatever, where that is 100% not the case. That it's very selfish. This is not selfish in any way.
No, she's so lucky. And
she's so lucky.
I think she needs to have that baby. I mean, there are babies who are perfect and they sleep when they're supposed to and they eat when they're supposed to and they're awesome. They're just like these magical babies. I know this is kind of a mean thought, but I almost want her to not have a magical baby. I want her to have that colicky, wake all night party girl that makes her understand and value why she has such an involved mother-in-law. It's so great to any pair of hands Now, saying that, I know there are couples who have problems with family members who are intrusive. My mother was way intrusive with my husband. That is why they don't get along. I am far more relaxed in permission of this type of overstepping behavior because I appreciate the help. But there are people who have more boundaries, and my space is my space, and I will deal with this. This is something that I need, and learning to respect that can be very difficult for boundary crossers. Mm-hmm. And that is something that I have a deep sadness about. So to this poster, as mean as I was sounding, as hard as I was sounding to you, I do understand, and how rough it is, because my parents and my husband do not get along anymore. They don't interact, and it's put me and my son in this not so great position. And I am a constant mediator in my family. So it's constantly honing my mediation skills within my own family. But I have to also make those choices of what is healthy for all involved, and not forcing the issue. Like, my husband does not get along with my parents, and for very good reasons. And reasons that my parents will never understand. They just won't get it. They don't get it. And nothing I've said over these many years has got them to recognize and realize why it's not working.
So they need a final written, because you've had multiple conversations. I'm sorry. I'm almost going back to the previous thing.
Right? They just know what they have is a hard international boundary between them.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And that is how it will stay. My parents live in Canada. My husband lives in the States, and they both like it that way. And that's just how it is.
Yeah.
And
even though it's only driving distance between the two.
Right. But yeah. I am the one who has, and I have to constantly check in. Is this okay for me? My parents are aging. It's very obvious of all of my siblings. I'm the primary caregiver for my parents. So I am slowly taking on that role. Mm-hmm. And it is hard and taxing on me to be going back and forth. Like, we both know how ridiculous it can be sometimes for me to be going back and forth. Mm-hmm. But I would much rather do that than try to force family who are just not getting together. That's the resolution. The resolution is that they are not having anything to do with each other anymore. But when they try to create an alienation with the other party, I put my foot down. And they both have to be okay with the fact that those people are in my life, and I am going to talk about them, and I am going to be involved with them. And that's just how it's going to be. So just bringing in this poor husband/son for a moment, I totally see his point of view of being furious of this escalation between his mother and his wife, and him saying, look at all she's done for us. Why aren't you appreciating it? It's something, unfortunately, he's going to have to be the person to get involved, because this is only going to continue, and it's up to him to determine how this is going to be between them, because he's made the choice of being with this wife, and he is married and connected to her, and that will take precedence over the relationship with his mother, because he's now created a child. He is building a family. He has this home and this nest, and he's going to have to figure out if he wants this wonderful connection and relationship with his mother. How are they going to draw the boundaries? How are they going to set those rules? And maybe the mother might have to live in another country like mine do. Who knows? Like, it's just, at the end of the day, there's some things, like, I stand by my husband. My parents don't understand it, But I stand, because I see he made very good points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was another thing that you touched on that I thought was interesting, because we kind of glossed over it a little bit. But you said, what did you say? You said something about, what was it now? Oh, something about you being appreciative of the help that you received. We also have to remember, and I don't know what her perspective is, but there are some people that have the opposite reaction to help.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's almost like an insult for whatever reason, probably something to do with how they were brought up. Maybe, I don't know, but they feel like any help, even the slightest amount, is like, what? You don't think I'm capable of doing this myself?
Yes. An attack.
And I don't get that impression from her necessarily,
but we know her.
But she doesn't seem appreciative of any of this help. So it may be that she's somewhere in the middle of that, where she doesn't see the value of help so much.
That's why I'm hoping she gets a colicky baby for a while, so that she can be, thank God.
It's okay to accept help. It really is okay.
Yes.
Everyone needs a little help.
I think all expectant parents need to watch that Australian, Netflix picked it up. It's called The Letdown. And it's such a good insight to how much pressure are on parents to perform in this modern society in a way that the judgments that are placed on them, the expectations, and their own built up expectations too, because I know I had fantasies, the perfect parent fantasy. I'm perfect. I can have it all. I have this amazing, thriving career, and I'm doing so amazing. And I am this domestic goddess who is the perfect maternal mother who does all of these amazing things. So sometimes we need a good smack in the face and a kick in the butt. And we need to have a moment of, oh my gosh, having it all is a lot of expectations. And maybe we just need to give ourselves a huge break, accept the help. The defenses need to come down a little bit. It's such a good point. Yeah, she sucks for taking your stuff. She totally sucks for that. But, her moving in with you and being your cook and your cleaner and carrying alongside for your child with you, she is welcome in my house anytime. I only have a 10-year-old.
Might even let her move the toaster.
Yes, she can do whatever she wants. All right. So that was a good one.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
All right. So does anybody else have something that they want to be writing in about, want a mediation perspective on? Please write us at toughcallmediation@gmail.com, and have yourself a great rest of your week. Bye for now.
Bye-bye. You've been listening to Tough Call, a mediation podcast hosted by C.T. Eller and Dale Sheldon. Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Discord. This podcast was edited by Jean Sarrazin, with social media and marketing by Jazz Virbadi and Hope Ursek. Original music by Ty Ray Lawton. This podcast was sponsored by Herb Legal LLP, where you can find more episodes at www.herblawservices.com. Thank you for listening.